Namo Amida Bu. I don't know, man. It's like everyone and every place has gone totally insane. It's like the madness is the order of the day. It's like the human race has gone into a race to see how insane and unhinged they can be. It really seems that way. I know that's not the case. I mean, I deal with the public. Most people that I deal with directly, act very sane and very nice and very orderly. But I think you can tell in general, on a larger scale, not just our society, but the world in general has just become unhinged. It's become, it's like everyone's in a race to push the limits of how insane they can be. And one of the things I've noticed about myself, I had something happen this morning. You know, just some neighbor I'd had a conflict with shooting off firecrackers, and of course they want to, kind of get a reaction, and because I have to sleep, and I said something to the manager a while back, and it's like you wonder why a lot of people just don't want to be calm and add to the calm instead of stirring stuff up. And one of the things Joshua Adrian told me was it's karma. It's my karma. It's the karma of others. Everything that goes on in this world is a result of karma. And when you think about that, it puts a whole different perspective on things. It's very easy for me to look at other people that I deal with on a regular basis and that I encounter on a regular basis and people in the world in general and say, well, why don't you just get your act together? Why don't you just get your shit straight and not be crazy? And then something like the firecracker incident, once that happened on a Sunday morning, that I happened to be off on a Sunday morning, and I'm doing my meditation. I'm saying Nibbutsu, I'm reading my Dharma studies, and someone sets off a firecracker right outside my window. And I lose it. I go out, I use a bunch of profanities, and it's like, what the F is this? And the thing is, I would love to be a calm, nice, perfect example of the Buddhist stereotype. You think about the New Age Buddhist stereotype, or the stereotype of the perfect Buddhist, and it's the guy walking around, no matter what happens, boulders fall, lightning crashes, and he just, calmly says some word of wisdom and just walks on saying his prayer beads. But that's why I turn to Amida, because I don't have that wherewithal. I don't have the ability to practice the self-control and decorum that I would love to. And that's a scary thing, You're living in a world that's basically, it seems like a powder keg, where everybody is on the verge of just totally exploding. And then you realize that you're not that different. That tension you feel in the air is felt by you. those worries and fears on some level is felt by everybody. And, of course, like I've said before, I don't worry about what's going to happen to me after I die. I know how that's going to go. But as far as suffering in this realm, poverty, economic collapse, suffering with a long-term illness that can debilitate me and literally drown me, yeah, I worry about that. Not a lot. And I'm grateful to Amida that right now, in the here and now, I'm living a fairly comfortable, peaceful life. There's some glitches. There's some people that piss me off. But I understand also that not everyone can say that. And especially some of the people that I've envied, the people in the neighborhood that live in the nice houses, whose whole identity has been based around keeping up with the Joneses and, being part of the middle or upper middle class. Ironically, a lot of these people are more terrified because they have more to lose. I don't. I mean, the closer you are to the bottom floor, the less you have to worry about how far down you're going to fall. And for those of us like myself who have been on the bottom floor, underneath the bottom floor, you've been there. You know what to expect. You know what living on the street is like. You know what the homeless shelters are like. Life goes on as long as it goes on. But I honestly feel for a lot of people who have lived very sheltered lives, who don't know what to expect. There are a lot of people out there right now who are contemplating suicide, and they shouldn't, because Amida is there. Amida is there, and Amida makes all the difference. Amida Buddha is the change in the equation. And that's why I have this YouTube channel. That's why, I stick around, because I want you to know Amida is here for you 24/7, 7 days a week, at every moment of every day and every day of your life. He's here for you. And it doesn't really matter what you feel or think. There needs to be a part of you that understands Amida is here. And as I've said before, when I wake up in the morning, like when I woke up this morning, the first thing I do is lay there in bed and just say Nembutsu and just connect with Amida. That's the most important part of my day, is just connecting with Amida. And that doesn't stop throughout the course of the day. My focus changes. I'm not always thinking about Amida. But, I realize I'm not a perfect Buddhist. I'm not a good Buddhist. I'm someone who tries to be a good Buddhist and doesn't succeed. That being said, I don't have to be a good Buddhist. I don't have to be a perfect Buddhist. I don't have to succeed. What is important for me to do and to remember to do is to entrust myself to Amida and just say his name. It's that simple. And I don't have to say it all the time, but just knowing that he's there, that Shinjin, that knowing, that simple faith of knowing that Amida is there, That's all that's necessary for me. Like today, after I had the encounter with that neighbor, and there were no words spoken, but they were kids and they were like, laughing and laughing at me and trying to get a rise. It's like they're bored. I get it. They're bored. They're kids. There's nothing else for them to do. No school. So they're stuck at home. And I guess I, fell into the category of grumpy old man, damn kids, and you know, I accept that's how they are at this point in their life. This is how I am at this point in my life. And in the past, I would try to overcompensate, try to change that, and try to make people like me and be friendly and 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 I do try to be friendly. I am a nice person, but I also have the darkness inside. And a lot of people I think in these days are noticing the darkness inside because they have less distractions. And you're forced to look at yourself. And for a lot of people, they just go nuts. They're like, F this, I can't take this. I need to go out and just go crazy. And they do. And we see that in the headlines. For those of us who have been on the spiritual path for some time, those of us who have sought out contemplative prayer and silent meditation and the reciting of the sutras through various stages of our spiritual journey, we are not better equipped to deal with what's going on, but we're more aware of our shortcomings in ourselves. And if we weren't, I think most people wouldn't be listening to this right now, because people who tune into my channel, they've come to a conclusion that for the most part, it's like, I've done what I can do to become an enlightened Buddha. I'm not making much success in becoming enlightened. And that's something I have to remind myself in these days, is that I'm not going to become enlightened in this realm. As long as I'm living in the Saha realm, as long as I'm living this life as Dave, I'm not going to become enlightened. Now it's like, Shinran said, don't drink poison just because you have the antidote. I'm not going to run around and be a jerk because I know that I'm going to the Pure Land when I die. But by the same token, there are moments when I do become a grumpy old man. I do become a jerk. And even though that is inexcusable, it's a fact. And so what I do is I repent. I don't have to fall down and grovel at my altar and say, oh, I've sinned. If that were the case, I'd probably be doing it every 5 minutes. Because, we are delusional human beings filled with blind passions. Shakyamuni clearly stated this. We are a bunch of naive children living inside of a burning house. And we're too stupid to realize that we choose to stay inside the burning house. And there are some schools of Buddhism that teach that we can just walk out of the burning house and become like Shakyamuni. Oh, if that were true. Oh, if that were true. But I am one of those kids who's really thrown off and really too stupid to get out of the house that's burning around me. And that's, I would say, basically everyone living in the Saha realm right now. And I think that's what's freaking a lot of people out, is that they realize they're inside, the building they're inside is burning around them, and they're freaking out. You know, with everything that's going on, they're terrified. And they don't know how to react. They don't know what to do. They feel like a trapped animal, which is what we are. We're a bunch of trapped animals. We're a bunch of hapless, helpless mammals trapped in this Saha realm that's burning all around us. And everything is changing. Everything is impermanent. Nothing is permanent. And it freaks us out. That includes our governments, that includes our health, that includes our way of life, that includes the political systems, that includes the financial systems, that includes the power structures, the ideological powers that be. And most of us, like myself, are just standing around trying to be happy until we die and saying, you know, just leave me the hell alone. You know, it's like the kids with firecrackers. It's like, it's Sunday morning. I don't know who you are. I don't have anything to do with you. I don't want to have anything to do with you. I want to sit in my room, say my Nimbutsu, listen to the Amitabha chants in the background on my computer while I study the Dharma, and just be left alone to connect with Amida and find some semblance of peace. Well, also, I need to realize that for most people, they don't get that. They have no clue as what that is. And that's another thing for me to keep in mind, is that very few people are seeking enlightenment right now. Very few people know what enlightenment is. Keep in mind also that for a lot of people, their whole life has been based on being attractive, financially successful, and popular. Of course, none of those categories fit me. They don't fit my aspirations. I want to live comfortably financially. As far as how I look, you know, I just don't want to be hideously maimed or deformed or anything like that. So, and I'm not, and so I'm grateful, you know. But for a lot of people, the ego is everything, and everything associated with the ego is top priority. I thought it was kind of odd. Excuse me, I take a sip of jasmine tea here. I thought it was kind of odd when this whole virus thing hit. You had a bunch of rich celebrities losing it online. And they're sitting inside of these outrageous mansions, twice the size of any shopping mall, falling apart and crying and saying, I'm so alone. I feel trapped. I feel like I'm in prison. You know, famous celebrities saying they feel like they're in prison. And you're thinking, what the hell is wrong with you? I mean, but that's the thing. These are people who need the love and adulation and adoration of others. I myself have a YouTube channel that is not monetized, that has a very tiny percentage of viewers, especially since I restarted my new YouTube channel. And that's the way I want it right now. I mean, I want it. I would love to have hundreds of millions of viewers, not because it would feed my ego, but because I want everybody to know about Amitabha. I want everyone to know this is a real Buddha. This is the solution right here. You know, hands down. But I gave up on my sense of greatness a long time ago. you know, the the idea I used to have. I'll share something with you. It's hilarious, but it's true. I used to always fantasize as a teenager about being a rock star, and that fantasy went on and on until I was a young adult, and not that young of an adult actually. And now when I became as I became an older adult, it was like, this is never going to happen. But I would fantasize. We all have those fantasies about ourselves, what we could have been and what we could have done and how it could have worked. And I would see myself, the crowds, because I've never felt accepted. I've always felt like the square peg in the round hole. And that's always a hard pill to swallow. I've never been popular in school. I think once in elementary school, at one class, I was the class clown. And of course, the next year, as the kids started getting hormones kicking in and becoming weird teenagers, my heart was broken when someone said, you're not funny. And it's I used to see myself though as a teenager. I would lock myself off in my room, blare my stereo, play my albums, play the radio, and pace back and forth and play air guitar and see myself as some outrageous rock star dressed in pentagrams, dressed in black, with the scary spiked high top boots and all the paraphernalia and long black fingernails and hair down to my waist, flipping it around and screeching, and because that's the culture I grew up in, and that was the message I got. I was a metalhead. I was a fan of hard rock music. And so for me, being successful was equated with being like those I idolized, like Alice Cooper and Iron Maiden and, the Plasmatics and whatnot. And so I see how a lot of people who may have, especially young people who may have had dreams of becoming, I don't know who the stars of today are. Honestly, I don't care. But for most people, it's all about feeding the ego. It's all about sensory perception. And I used to be the same way. If I have to be honest and look back at myself honestly, I grew up in a family where there had to be constant chaos going on. And the odd thing is, once I moved out, I thought, okay, I'm away from them. I'm going to be a calm, happy person. Everyone's going to like me. I'll be the perfect neighbor, the perfect friend. And of course, you find out that's not the case. You get people just try to screw with you because they do, just like the neighbor, the kid. It's a kid, And I found myself creating chaos. And friends would unfriend me and not want to have anything to do with me because I had to keep, it's like, you always have some kind of crisis going on, Dave. You always have some kind of crisis going on. And I did, because I knew nothing else. But when I moved out of my parents' house, I made the decision, come hell or high water, even if I died on the road, I was going to find peace. I was going to find happiness. Obviously, I have. I haven't found perfection. I haven't found normalcy. I wouldn't categorize myself as being normal by any means, by any stretch of the imagination. But I have a nice little life. That's all I want. But especially for those, I could see, especially for those raised in opulence, especially kids who always had whatever they wanted, and even those kids who are now adults, this has got to be a very hard pill to swallow. The idea of I could lose everything. I could lose, I will be a nobody. And I love that phrase, you're a nobody. It's like, what does that even mean? Every bug, every plant, every grasshopper, every bird, every flea, every living being, every human being of every description is somebody. Every microbe is somebody because we were meant, obviously, to come into this world and take up space in some capacity. Regardless what kind of sentient being you are, you were meant to be here. You have Buddha nature. It doesn't matter what realm you reside in. The land of the living, the land of the dead, insect, animal kingdom, it doesn't matter. You were meant to be here. So this false delusion that you're a nobody if, and fill in the blank, if you don't have this amount of money, you don't live in this neighborhood, if you couldn't make it in this profession, you're a loser, you're a nobody. That's more of the delusions you get in samsara. We live in a deluded realm. And that's what we're seeing is people going crazy, living in the burning house of samsara. And that's all we are. We're ignorant children who don't have enough sense to know how to get out of the house that is on fire around us. That's why Shakyamuni Buddha directed us toward Amitabha Buddha as a solution. Because I don't know how to escape my unenlightened nature. I don't know how to fix myself. Because the only thing I've got to fix myself with is my unenlightened mind. And that's not going to fix anything. So what I do is I turn to someone who did have enough sense to fix themselves, who knew how to become an enlightened Buddha, Amitabha. And I just say, look, this is why you made 48 vows, Amitabha. This is why you created the Pure Land for people like me, hopeless screw-ups who don't know how to fix themselves and who actually create more problems by trying to fix everything around us. Every time I try to fix everything, it gets worse. It gets more complicated. When I let go and let Amida and accept that I'm a screw up, somehow, some way, Amitabha Buddha does whatever Amitabha Buddha does. I can't even analyze it. But I know on a deeply personal level, whenever my emotions run astray, whenever my doubts and fears and worries take hold of my personality and paralyze me with fear and confusion and doubt and anger and rage and hate and resentment, when I just accept this is how I am and just, for lack of a better word, just embrace this in the light and love of Amitabha Buddha and just basically say, just as I am, here I am, Amitabha Buddha. that love of Amitabha Buddha, that light of Amitabha Buddha becomes so apparent. That is known as other power Buddhism. It is entrusting yourself and your karmic destiny to Amitabha Buddha, and then taking refuge in him and being grateful for him and his pure land by saying his name in gratitude, in love. Or sometimes I say the name clinging to his sleeves for dear life and saying, I'm in the burning house. I'm too stupid to get myself out. If I try to fix anything, I'm just going to make it worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. I love you. I need you. I don't need to tell you anything you don't already know, Amitabha. So I entrust to you. And I throw my hands up and I just say, Namo Amida Bu, Namo Amida Bu, Namo Amida Bu, Namo Amida Bu. Day and night, walking, lying down. From the moment my eyes open in the morning to the moment I close them at night. Not all the time. Whenever it comes to my mind and that desire hits me to say Nimbutsu, I don't resist it. I say it, either aloud or I think it. But I want that connection to Amitabha Buddha. That is of all importance to me. That is the sanity in this world of madness. That is the light in this world of endless darkness. The pure land is the heaven I focus on for my next life in the world of the endless hells that we experience in the here and now. And so I just urge you, don't give up. Wherever you're at, just rest in the love and compassion of Amitabha Buddha. Rest in his peaceful arms. Even in the midst of your chaotic thoughts, even in the midst of your doubts and fears, that's the thing I want to stress, is that you don't have to clean yourself up before you come to him. It's not a matter of making yourself presentable. Covered in your dirt, covered in your shit, come to Amida as you are and accept the fact that he loves you and he knows you're covered in dirt. He knows you're covered in shit. He knows you can't help yourself. That's the whole reason he's Amitabha Buddha. That's the whole reason Dharmakara Bodhisattva became Amitabha Buddha. That's the reason he made the 48 vows. That's the reason he created the primal vow. That's the reason he created the Pure Land. It's for you. It's for you. You watching this video, whoever you are, wherever you're at. And I want you to know that. That's absolute truth, man. It is. I love you. Namo Amida Bu.